Hello and welcome to episode 136 of Controller Club, the friendly face gaming space, a podcast where three friends from three different continents share in one love, and that is video games. On today's show, PlayStation Productions makes news at CES, Sonic 3 came out and we are going to review it, and we will be ranking on the back of our Sonic 3 review, which some people I know have been long waiting for. We will be ranking our 2024 video game adaptations. But before all that, let's introduce our panel of hosts today. My name is Klein Felt, and alongside me today, as always, are two of my best friends in the whole wide gaming world. First, coming to us from across the pond, it is the digital art daredevil himself, fresh off disassembling some Lego and then reassembling it again. It is Tom Drew. Tom, how are you? How's hanging out at the parents' house? Still hanging in there?
Yeah, I am indeed. Like you said, I've just been rummaging through my boxes of Lego, trying to figure out, does this piece go with this set, or does this piece, and then assembling a set and then realizing there's one singular piece missing and trying to find where it is in my collection. It's a nightmare. I'm not gonna lie. There are a handful of sets that are just sitting there. They're a 99% complete, and I'm like, ugh. But it is what it is. That's just my life, I guess.
Next up, it is journalist extraordinaire, the Australian abroad / the Canadian in training. Wearing a nice toque, looking rather Canadian today. It is Lauren Rouse. Lauren, how are you? How are things, and how is life?
Life is good. I think it's a bit of overkill with the beanie today because it's sunny. Breaking news, it's sunny in Vancouver. And I think we're all going to lose our minds after having basically 2 months straight of rain. So I'm probably going to go for a long walk later, and maybe I won't come back. Who knows?
This is the time when in the middle of winter you get these sunny breaks or what have you in Vancouver, and you're going to go outside and everyone is going to be out there. Everybody is just going to be out enjoying the
It'll make
sunshine.
me want to go back inside.
Yeah, I know that when you live there, a lot of people, you can't let the rain get in your way of doing things because otherwise you would get nothing done. But when the sun comes out, so do the people, and it gets very busy. But I'm glad it's sunny for you. It's been gray and cold, which it can be here in these Canadian winters. But that's not why we're here. We're not here to give you the weather forecast. We're here to talk about games. And we will start with the news we choose, our first news segment of 2025. Tom Drew, give us that news jingle.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
In case you were not following, this past week was CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. There's so much stuff to talk about. There's been Switch leaks. People just straight up, it seems, having Switch 2 dummy units out on the show floor. The RTX, NVIDIA 50 series graphics cards were announced. The 5090 is the size of a 2x4. It's huge. It's massive. And you're going to have to build a whole new computer to put it into your system. But we want to talk about today, we want to focus in because we have we've got this interesting crossover here on the podcast. If you don't know, here us at Controller Club, in our day jobs, we spend most of the time talking about movies and TV. So this is going to be a movie and TV in the video game world themed episode. And so we thought we would start with the CES news, big news. PlayStation came out swinging with PlayStation Productions at their CES kind of keynote, I guess you would call it. This included 4, what I would say, big announcements we got out of it. We got 3 new projects announced and a new trailer for The Last of Us Season 2. So we'll start by discussing these 3 new projects. We can talk about those, and then we can get into The Last of Us talk, because I know Lauren is just itching to talk about Abby and Ellie and the whole crew. But before that, we got a Horizon Zero Dawn movie announced. It's used to be a TV show. TV show was shelved, I guess, last summer. It seems to be, this will very much be following the story of the first game, it seems, and it's being made in partnership with Columbia Pictures. No really other information, no casting, no director, no release date, nothing like that. Then we also got a Ghost of Tsushima anime announced. It's called Ghost of Tsushima Legends. It's coming in 2027. It is based on Ghost Legends multiplayer mode, which kind of talks about these samurai warriors way in the past, and over the years their legend has become legend, and so these mythological and supernatural things get kind of tied into that as time goes on. That sounds very cool. It's being done by director Takanobu Mizuno, who did Star Wars Visions The Duel episode, which is the very first episode of the Star Wars Vision series is very cool. It's basically what if Star Wars was in feudal Japan. And he did the Batman Ninja movie from a couple of years ago. And then the last big announcement of these three was a Helldivers 2 movie was announced. No other details other than that. They are just making a Helldivers movie. It seems absolutely crazy. If you'd told me this time last year they were going to make a Helldivers 2 movie, I'd be like, what? That's why? What that? But now it makes sense because that game has completely blown up. So we'll stop here. The two of you, the three of us. Where do you want to go here? I think I'll go throw it right to Lauren because I know that you are very excited about at least two or three of these. What are you most excited for from this bunch? How are you feeling now that we're getting a Horizon movie, which is exciting? We're getting a Helldivers movie. Just where's your head at coming out of CES and these PlayStation announcements?
Yeah, very exciting news. I think I was out doing house inspections when all of this dropped, and I immediately started pitching ideas back at Game Rant, so I've covered the majority of these. But yeah, let's start with the Horizon movie. So yeah, earlier in the year, I was looking into what happened to that TV show because I was quite excited for it. Obviously, it was being done with Netflix. The Umbrella Academy showrunner was on board to write it at his company, and then that kind of just quietly faded away. And now we can pretty much assume that it's dead. It's no longer happening. But we have a movie to look forward to, and I actually think this is the ideal situation because the problem with perhaps doing a TV show, particularly for something like Horizon, is the budget. Like, not all TV shows can have a Last of Us budget, and that's not even half as fantastical as what Horizon Zero Dawn is. And so I think having a movie budget is actually going to be what this project needs. It'll allow them to put all the work into the VFX for the animatronics and the dinosaurs and that kind of beautiful, glowing, visceral world that you run around in Horizon. It's a post-apocalyptic Earth, but it's quite a beautiful one. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do that. And I do think like this will have more momentum than the TV show did. I've been thinking similarly about the BioShock movie, which is also happening at Netflix. And the whole reason that that's taking so long apparently is budget debates. And so I think taking this over to the movie side will mean it hopefully goes somewhere. And given the appetite of video game adaptations right now, I think it'll probably go pretty quickly.
I know it's early, but do you have a name in mind that you think like a filmmaker that could tackle the world of Horizon? I would call you the resident like Horizon stan here on the pod. Do you have someone in mind that you maybe think could do this world justice?
I'm not sure if he would do it, but I feel like Denis Villeneuve would be really great.
God.
He was the first name that popped in my head as well.
Like, I think he's done Blade Runner, Dune, so he knows a good sci-fi world. And I feel like the story is, they are from Amsterdam, Guerrilla Games.
Yes, I saw The Office.
Yeah, so the story is a little bit, I would say like it's not traditionally like Hollywood in its like build up. And I feel like he might have a really great idea on how to expand that and make it a little bit more linear and acceptable for the cinema audience. So I reckon he would be a good pick.
Tom, which of these three projects had you most excited? Are you also like itching to see this Horizon movie like Lauren?
I mean, I think with the Horizon, like, I think it is best case scenario. Like, I was wondering how a TV show could work. Like, I didn't really want it to be a case of like, okay, well, it's going to be like 40 minutes of people standing around talking and then like 5 minutes of CGI dinosaur stuff, which, yeah, I think like the budget stuff, the budget side of this, like that issue is kind of alleviated with this news. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm excited to see who they get for that. But yeah, like, I mean, all of these are pretty exciting. The Helldivers 2 is interesting because like there is like an overarching story, but I just wonder how they focus in on like the story they're telling. Are they going to focus on like just one faction and we're going to tell the story of like the you know, the battle between Super Earth and this one faction, or are they going to try to tell like multiple different stories of different teams of Helldivers? I don't really know, but I think it's a really it's cool. Like, I think it's a really like it's just cool because like the tone of Helldivers especially, like it's so fun and silly and goofy, and I'm kind of craving that out of like a sci-fi thing. I love, you know, like we were just talking about Denis, like Dune is obviously like amazing, like that really introspective and like just like epic stuff they do with that, but you can still have the epic stuff with Helldivers, but then have just like this over the top silly tone. So I'm really excited to see how they adapt that. And yeah, the Ghost of Tsushima, like that dual episode of Star Wars Visions is probably my favorite. I think that was the first one as well. But I think that's my favorite of the bunch. I thought it was just so well executed. So I'm excited to see that. Do you think we're going to see a umbrella with like a couple of samurai swords like around it? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I like all of these. These sound pretty cool.
I think that all three of these sound awesome. Horizon being going from a TV show to a movie is, I think, probably the best thing that could have happened for that property adaptation wise. I echo what Lauren said. I just budgetary. That story, I think, makes sense. You can tell Aloy's kind of first adventure, I think, fairly well in a 2-hour movie and throw all the money behind it and make these dinosaurs look absolutely incredible. I actually wouldn't be surprised if something like the God of War series, which is still happening at Amazon Prime, if it were to also maybe veer and become a movie as well, because that's another thing that I'm like, I just don't know budgetary. I mean, Amazon has all the money in the world, so who knows, they can maybe just throw money at the problem and it will look fantastic. I think of these three, I am most excited for Helldivers 2. Just that tone on the screen could be very fun. I know he's probably very busy, but like, make it a James Gunn movie. Like, even if James Gunn isn't there, like, imbue that DNA if you can. If you can find one of his maybe disciples to kind of take on this kind of project, because that seems fun to me. Lauren, I'll go back to you because you're also probably the resident Helldiver stan here on the podcast. You definitely played the most out of anyone. Of the Helldivers 2 movie, do you think that there is a specific direction you think they're going to go with this film? Like, creatively, what, like, it's not like the Aloy adventure with Horizon. It is so nebulous because we don't really have a story. It's very loose. It's just kind of this conflict that you are continually fighting. Where do you think they're going to go with that? And do you have any names that you want to see maybe take on that universe?
So Helldivers, I actually think it's going to be quite easy to get right, because even though there is a lack of story, all you really need to nail is the tone, the humor, the chaos, and I don't think that would be too difficult to do. You do need the right director or people on it with the right sense of humor, but we've seen people have already been like, we already had Helldivers, it's Starship Troopers, it's out there, just do that again but in the same world. I think we would be happy with that. I've seen some takes which are maybe sort of turn away from the Terminids, maybe go more like the Illuminate and the cyborgs and things like that, because the Terminids are a bit close to Starship Troopers. But I think it would be cool to see all three of these factions perhaps even do things that haven't happened in the game yet, like have team ups between them, have them all come at once. Like, I don't know, but I think very easily you could create like an ensemble of characters who are Helldivers, throw them into this world. You can get attached to whoever the actors are and like go hard into the tone. Like we saw, I have a take, which is that because Fallout, the TV show, worked with its sense of humor, I think Helldivers can work easily. Just let's lean into the satire. We can like make fun of the military. Like, let's do it. I think I've talked about who I want to direct this, and it's a very left of field choice, and I will be writing about it. But it's Zack Snyder. I think he should do this. I think his movies, firstly, he's got the action, but I think because of the tone of his movies being, they take themselves so seriously that it's funny. And I think that would work perfectly here because it's so unserious.
Does he know that though? Does he know that?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, you saying, Klein, about like the James Gunn. Maybe they get James Gunn to write it, and then Zack Snyder could direct it. I think that could be a good combo.
That would be a crossing of the DC universe that just like the internet would wild out if a James Gunn Zack Snyder co-production came to be.
Honestly, yeah. I think my wild choice, and I don't think this would happen, but I'd love like George Miller to direct a Helldivers movie. I think he's just like his zany
he's
visuals.
He's too busy pitching Thor 5 ideas.
Well, this is the thing. He's probably not going to do it. So, and he's not got much time left. I don't know. So, like, but that would be my dream. I just love his stuff. So,
yeah, it's very exciting. Helldivers 2. It's funny, Lauren, when you were just talking about we had it with Starship Troopers, and I think that is as good as this movie can be. It can be a Starship Troopers, which is considered a classic, but the way you're describing the film and where you think it's going to go, it sounds an awful like a lot like a movie we saw last year, also a video game adaptation. It sounds like it could also turn out to be something like Borderlands, which
No,
scares me a little
no,
bit. I
don't
don't even
say
want to put that
that.
out in the universe, but the very loose story, just taking itself too seriously, and it kind of being funny in this satire, in this ultra violent world.
I have more faith in it that I think
Okay.
Borderlands has too many touchstones that they tried to capture. We'll talk about this soon, but I think Helldivers is loose enough in that it's a player created experience. Therefore, you don't have to stick too closely to any one thing to appease people. Just land the tone, land the humor, and we're good to go.
Tom, who's the star you're picking right now get to lead the Helldivers 2 movie?
Oh my god, who's gonna lead it? Why's the guy that played Wade Whipple the first thing that came to my mind?
You're on the right track.
I don't want that, but to be fair, but he just came. Adam Pally, sure, throw him in there. Maybe he can redeem redeem that character.
I was gonna throw a name out, Henry Cavill. I think he could be a fun leader of the Helldivers team. Lauren, one name.
I don't know, Ben Schwartz. We're on the Sonic train.
Sonic the Hedgehog in Helldivers. I love it. That'd be fantastic. The other big headline coming out of CES was this new Last of Us teaser. Are we calling it a full trailer? It's about a minute long. The internet freaked out when it came out. It shows off new looks at Caitlin Deaver's Abby. We get more of Ellie. Just lots of there's not a lot to go off of in this trailer. It is about a minute and it's lots of quick cuts. But the big news out of it is that we have a release date. Season 2, mark in your calendar. We will be doing
We
weekly
don't have a
recap.
release date.
We don't?
No, it's just April.
Oh, we have a release month, and it is April.
No fake news here.
Okay, no fake news. It's just April. I could have sworn I saw an April 11th date going around. Okay. April.
Maybe.
Mark it in your calendar. The month of April, the month of May, we will be doing Last of Us Season 2 recaps and reviews here on the show. We'll be moving the show from Sunday to Monday for that time so that we can watch the show, collect our thoughts, and do a deep dive at the beginning of each week. But I want to go to our Last of Us experts here, Tom and Lauren. Lauren, you wrote about this over on the direct.com. What do you think about this trailer? Do you think that there could be potentially I don't know, are they giving some stuff away here in the trailer? Because this one is very cryptic, but if you know the games, there might be some Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, just to touch on the release date thing so that the audience can know. Yeah, they have released 2 trailers to this point. One of them, I think, said 2025. Then they narrowed it down to being, I think, before May. And then this one has said April. And I'm just like, give us the bloody date at this point. Why are you hiding it? The most likely scenario is that it'll be, I think it's April 13th. Whatever the week is after White Lotus is very likely to be when it starts. But I just don't know why they won't say that. Anyway, amazing teaser. It's definitely it opens with the sirens from the hospital, and we get to look at Caitlin Deaver walking down the hallway as Abby. And this is, of course, just changing perhaps the entire timeline of how they're going to present the game. We really don't know how they're going to do it. I have a feeling they're going to throw a curveball, and whatever we think is going to happen won't happen. But it seems like they might.
Spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2 as well. We're not going to dive into anything too deep here, but if you want to go in completely blind,
yeah,
you can. Yes, the time codes will be in the pod. You can go right to the Sonic 3 review.
Yeah, we've all played the game, so we obviously want to speculate quite heavily on this, but it seems like they might be doing Ellie and Abby's stories chronologically, so at the same time, which makes sense in my mind, because if you went the route of the game, you'd be having one season that's very heavily Ellie focused and one season that's very heavily Abby focused, and then that might sort of polarize the audience because they don't want to show up for one character or the other. But yeah, the things that we've seen that hint that Abby's storyline are in this season is the hospital flashbacks. We've got a line from her. I just want to point out this line because Caitlin Deaver says something about, You know, even if you have a code like me, some things are just wrong. And she sounds like I closed my eyes and I was just like, that's Laura Bailey. She's nailed it. So that's very exciting. That was probably my most exciting thing out of this trailer. But yeah, it looks like there was also a hint of perhaps there's a moment in Abby's side of the story where she gets captured by Seraphites, and I feel like that was maybe a scene. But I say all this, and when Naughty Dog marketed The Last of Us Part 2, they faked everyone out by having characters in the trailer who were not actually in that scene. And so there's part of me being like, Neil, what you doing over there? Are you doing this to us again? Like, I would not be surprised if they completely flip it on its head and surprise everyone, including the gamers who think they know what's going on.
I think that the Naughty Dog, Neil, Craig, the whole creative team behind this production, they know that we're all a lot smarter than that. Like they know what they're doing. They aren't just going to have things in the trailers that are spoiling things willy-nilly. I think that they are keeping things cryptic for a reason, and we can read into it, but ultimately, who knows if it's actually going to come to pass. Tom, seeing this trailer for the first time, what was one of the like moments for you of the trailer?
Well, one of the moments was we get a flash of the like dance between Ellie and Dina, and that got my brain working because it has been a while since I played Part 2, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was like one of the last scenes that we see in that game. So it's making me wonder how far into the game we're going to see, or if they're going to recontextualize it. Maybe if it is going chronologically, they show it a bit earlier. But you know, that is a very pivotal, emotional scene in the game. So I'm just wondering how that works in context. I think it's going to be really fascinating how they play with stuff.
Apparently, that scene was actually originally supposed to go at the beginning of the game, but they changed it last minute. I think Neil said something like that in the director's cut, that they moved it. So I wonder if this is their chance to go, well, for the TV version, we're going to make it more chronological, which is why I wonder if we're going to spend a lot of time in Jackson at the beginning. It's going to like take a while to get going to Seattle.
Yeah,
I think that I would like to know from the two of you how. So we got, I think, 8 episodes. At what point do we leave Jackson, do we think? Like, when does the adventure start? I'll say, to keep things cryptic.
I'd say like end of episode 2, maybe.
Yeah, I'm feeling 3.
Okay.
I think just the way they have structured in the past. Maybe 2, though, because like 3 was obviously the big episode well, it wasn't the big episode, but like that was the most acclaimed episode in season 1. And so I wonder if like episode 3s of The Last of Us are going to be like the big ones.
I think that my head, where I'm kind of thinking, and as time has gone on, I've changed my mind about this 5 or 6 different times. It could happen again before the show comes out, but I think I'm with you, Tom. I think that at least some of episode 3 is in Jackson. I think the big kind of like instigating incident is the end of episode 2. Like, that is the end of episode 2. We do that, and then we like set the ball rolling forward beyond that. I'm really interested to see what this story looks like, because The Last of Us 1 is the most easily adaptable piece of gaming media maybe ever. It's like that, and like the Uncharted series. Like, it is very much like they just put that game to screen, and they made some changes. They did the Bill Town stuff completely differently, and we loved it in the TV show. But The Last of Us Part 2 is just a totally different beast. Like, the fact that when you get halfway through and we make that change, we make that baton pass from Ellie to Abby, the reason it works as a game is because you are then you're interacting with it. You like, that moment is like, oh, now I have to play as this person. But you can't. I don't think you can do that in a TV show, because you're going to spend a whole season building up Ellie, and then go to season 3, and it's like, oh no, now we're like throwing her away essentially. So I'm with you, Lauren. I think that it is going to be chronological. I know a lot of people have like asked for that director's cut of the game, where it's like Ellie day 1, Abby day 1, Ellie day 2, Abby day 2, and back and forth. I think we're gonna get a lot of intercutting stuff. I think we may even like potentially open the whole thing with Abby and with like some of that backstory stuff, and like just immediately get it out there and immediately start building this character up for new audiences. Maybe we start with like the zebra and like or that sort of thing, and like have it kind of be like, whoa, what is this? And then cut to title card, and now we're with Joel and Ellie, and we're in Jackson, and we start to introduce these characters and have them start to cross paths. So I'm really excited. I was excited for season 2 before this. I was on the Direct podcast doing their awards last week, and I talked about like my favorite trailer of the year was one that didn't get brought up in any of the nominations. No one else talked about my favorite trailer of last year was The Last of Us season 2, and I'm just talking with them, these people who have no idea what this story is, where we're going from the end of episode or season 1 is just, I'm really looking forward to it. I think that we're going to have another moment where we have a lot of these people coming into our ears. I know what was happening to me at the time. I know you two had the same thing happening where people are in your life are coming to you and being like, you were hiding this? Like, what? Like, this is one of the great stories. And I think we're about to go through that again, because I think the second part for me, it's a completely different feeling story, but it is more impactful, I think, for me. And when you get them together, it makes both of them kind of like shine, and both of them feel like really special. So it's not very long from now. I'm really excited. I can't believe how close we are.
Yeah, it's pretty soon. Yeah, the only thing I'm kind of wondering is like, there's been a lot of criticism with the game, and like I wonder people who maybe didn't gel with like the pacing of it, if it is kind of this chronological thing, maybe they'll enjoy it a bit more, and maybe they'll get a bit something more out of it. And that's why I hope for, because maybe that kind of rejigging with it, that might be all it takes for someone to kind of see the story in a different light. So I'm excited for that.
I'm already apprehensive because I just know this is going to be so toxic.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people
Yeah,
are already
for
from the
sure.
trailer complaining that Bella Ramsey is the wrong casting and this and that, because like, oh, like they don't look like aged up enough for Ellie this season. I'm just like, politely, fuck off.
I think people had the same complaint leading into season 1, and like I was apprehensive going into season 1. I'm like, this doesn't look like Ellie. I would like, my pick was Caitlin Dever for the longest time to play Ellie, and now we're getting her in the series, but just on the opposite side. But and she proved everyone wrong. I think people need to go back and like rewatch that first season. I'm excited. I think on the podcast we should do like a rewatch episode leading into that, because like she is Ellie. Like, she is Ellie, and there are notes of where we go with her story in that first season that weren't present in the first game, that it's like, I think she is going to be able to do this. She is going to be able to tackle this like different kind of Ellie, this angry Ellie.
I think for better or worse, Caitlin Dever is Abby as well, and I feel
yeah,
for what's going to happen with her now. But at the end of the day, guys, it's a TV show. Like what you like, don't like what you don't like. Don't watch it if you don't like it. Just don't, keep your thoughts to yourselves, and we'd all be much better off in the world.
Even though we're going to be here spouting hours and hours of our thoughts over the next couple of
months. And if you
months.
don't like that, don't listen.
That's going to do it for the news this week. Tom Drew, give us the outro.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
Jumping in. It's been long awaited, guys. We've been putting this, we're like huffing and hawing. When are we going to do this? What are we going to do? We're going to do it now. About a month ago, cinema happened, guys. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came out. Ben Schwartz, Idris Elba, Keanu Reeves, James Marsden, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, all back, all having fun. I guess Keanu is new. Telling the tale of Sonic and Shadow, the tales of Sonic and Shadow. That's a Sonic pun. So we'll do a quick review here, and then really the bulk of the conversation will be ranking our video game adaptations from 2024, because we got a lot of them. But we'll get into Sonic 3 to start. I want to ask the two of you, because one of the very first reviews we ever did on this podcast was for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I guess it'd probably be the first movie review we did. And I remember some people on this podcast weren't huge fans. I'll let the listeners go back and listen to the tape for that one. But I want to know what the two of you thought generally about Sonic the Hedgehog 3 here. Lauren, you don't strike me as the kind of person that would be really into these movies, but were you pleasantly surprised by the third Sonic film?
I think it was pretty much what I was expecting from it. I want to point out the caveat that I saw this movie in 4DX, moving seats, wind,
Nice.
water, lights, and that makes
Wow.
everything better. So take, like, whenever I say things, consider how I was viewing the movie at the time. I think it's probably my favorite of the three. But to be honest, when I look at these movies, I think of the Sonic storyline and then I think of the human fluff around it. And I don't think of the human fluff when I judge these movies. And I think the Sonic storyline in this movie was my favorite. Then the human fluff is, as usual, awful.
Awful's a strong word, but Tom, Drew, what are your general thoughts of Sonic 3?
Guys, look, I have been the resident Sonic hater or Sonic movie hater on this podcast for the longest time. You know this, the viewers know this. Sonic 1, I didn't love. Sonic 2, I didn't love as much as the first one. Knuckles, abysmal. Sonic 3, I loved it. I thought it was so much fun, guys. I don't know. They got me. I don't know what they did. I guess we'll get a bit more into it. But I really was going to this movie and be like, oh, I don't know. I've seen 3 of these already. I just don't see how I'm going to enjoy this. But I came out of it like thinking this was like a fun time. I thought it was a really I think they cut all the bad bits, or the things that I found to not be the best parts of those previous movies and shows, and they kept all the stuff that worked. And it's just a fun time. Shadow was really fun. I think the Sonic crew is the best it's been. The human stuff, honestly, we'll get to it. I don't think it's that bad. Especially considering what we've seen.
There's not a lot of it. There's the least amount of it here.
Potentially, but I think they have. I genuinely laughed at points in the human stuff this time. I didn't at any other point in this franchise. So yeah, color me surprised, but I thought Sonic 3 was better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, this is going to be interesting because I am the resident Sonic. I've been drinking the Sonic copium since the day I was born, basically, waiting for good Sonic, and I feel like I've defended these movies on this podcast for a long time. I had a bit of a crisis of faith with this film.
What's happening?
I not really liked Knuckles, but I liked Knuckles more than probably the two of you did, and I have found fun in it. Sonic 2, for me, they do these things where like the last act in every one of them, especially Sonic 2 and 3, are like, as a Sonic fan, I'm crying. I'm like just like sobbing, like this is everything I wanted. But the first 2 acts before that, it's like there's a lot of stuff that I don't really... these movies aren't ultimately for me. I think if I was 7 years old and seeing this film for the first time, this movie would be my favorite movie ever. Like, just full stop, give me as many of these as possible. But I sat there in this theater alone at 1 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon in a theater full of kids who were loving it, and they knew everything. Like, we get to the very end and these characters are popping up in the post credits or whatever, and these kids are out loud shouting their names, and I'm like, yeah, it is, yeah, it's that person, like, this is awesome. But everything leading up to that, I was sitting there going like, are Tom and Lauren right? I think Tom and Lauren are right. Like, just the humor, the Sonic humor is fine. I think Ben Schwartz is great. I think Idris Elba as Knuckles is like genuinely hilarious. Colleen O'Shaughnessy as Tails. She's been Tails for so long. She's fantastic. Keanu Reeves as Shadow. Shout out. He comes in, and I was worried I was just going to be looking at John Wick with black quills, but no, he is Shadow. He does some great stuff. But like the Jim Carrey, I'm not a big fan of Jim Carrey, but there's 2 of them here. And every time they were on screen, oh my God. Like, the moment where they're talking to each other and are like, as if we were in a movie played by the same actor. And I was like, please, like, can we not? The dance sequence, which I have seen going around on Twitter since then, and it's pretty funny, but it's not what I want in my Sonic movie. And these movies, ultimately, they're kids' movies. They are not for me. But I think they have been getting more and more, I don't know, for the Sonic fans a little bit. Like, they know that people like me who love this character and love this franchise, love this world, are going to come and see these movies too, and that's what the last act of this is. That's what the Tokyo battle with Keanu is. Like, there is moments in this film that are genuinely like, okay, these people care. Like, these are some deep cuts, and I'm loving it. So for that, I do have to give them their flowers. It is ultimately like a 3-star film, but I'm not. I had fun, and by the end, they did have me going, damn, I guess I got to see Sonic 4 on day one, because that's just what it's the same thing that happened last time with Sonic 2, where the ending of that movie, I was like, well, we like that was awesome. But I don't know. I wanted to be higher on this movie. I do think that the last act is probably like, I will watch that forever. It's just so good. Like, just just the Sonic Shadow fight team up is just 10 out of 10. But Jim Carrey is a lot.
I remember when I was a kid and I wanted to go see movies, and I'd ask my dad, like, oh, can we go see this? There was 2 responses. There was the like, oh yeah, that looks good. And that's usually like a Pixar movie or something like that. And then there's like the, oh, I'm going to grit my teeth through that. And that's kind of what this response was for me. I mean, like you say, Klein, this is a movie for kids. So this is like, if I had a child to go with, I'd be like, I'm going to like placate you. But, and that is largely because I think of the Jim Carrey stuff, the human stuff that they shove into this movie. If it was like 90 minutes of just Team Sonic, I think it would be pretty good. I'd be into that. It would be great. But, and like Jim Carrey, for the most part, like Robotnik is a massive part of Sonic. I have gotten in trouble with the Sonic fandom for saying, I think it's time that we put him to bed. Like, I think he's really dead this time. I think we can leave it there. Like, and Jim Carrey is great as Robotnik. Don't get me wrong. He gives it his all. Even as playing Gerald and Ivo, this one, it was really good. Like, he played them both very well. But they're just too much. They're too much. I can't handle it. And I'm like, I think I've seen enough of him for a lifetime. Can we try something different in Sonic 4? Can we have someone else? But people are like, no, Robotnik has to be the boss every single time. So, all right, you do
and
that.
I think that's more like to a Robotnik statement and less of a Jim Carrey statement. I think that those people are like, well, it has to be Robotnik, but we've been given Jim Carrey's Robotnik, so this is what we have to like.
Yeah,
this is what we have to push as the Sonic community. They do stuff with him, like by the end of the movie, with him when they're in there, like he's in his game accurate suit and he's in space cutting up the moon. It's like, this is Robotnik. Him in skin tight leather dancing with another version of himself to like the Chemical Brothers is just, it's too much. It's not for me.
I'm gonna be honest. I loved it. I loved all the Robotnik stuff. I maybe
Is this
all
because
that
this movie
stuff was
took
for
place
me.
in London? Are we seeing some UK bias happening right here?
Potentially, maybe it helped a little bit, but I don't know. I just think they. I don't know. I think when they go sillier with it, for me, I think I can just like. I can accept it a bit more because it's just like, oh, this is goofy fun or whatever. Like, even like the stupid VR montage where they're like, you know, being father and son and stuff. Like, I just thought that was like, okay, what is this doing in a Sonic movie? But it's a bit of fun. Jim Carrey's having a bit of fun.
They
I don't
open
know.
with him
It's
playing
story part
bongos
of
on
it.
his tummy.
That's hilarious. I love that.
The story between Ivan and Gerald is actually quite good. Like, I like the themes and things that they're. It's just that they branch off in really silly directions. And again, it's a kids' movie, so I'll let it slide. But
It's not
don't expect me
every
to love
human
it.
character for me, though. Like, I think Agent Stone is genuinely like one of the best characters of these movies.
He's the goat.
Like,
He is the goat.
Like, give me a Agent Stone and Shadow TV show where they're just he's trying to become Shadow's best friend. I would watch that.
Cool.
Like, I think I don't know. People online have speculated, and this is just because Sonic fans are weirdos, that like, was there something romantic between Stone and Robotnik? And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
You didn't see
Yeah,
that?
it
think so.
Come on. That was definitely going
They're
on.
canon.
I think he's great. Like, I think he's absolutely fantastic. The other human stuff, like outside of Robotnik in this film, I think that as the movies have gone on, the Sonic movie creative team has looked at the like feedback and genuinely taken it to heart, because the first movie was very much Sonic in a human world. It was just like Sonic and James Marsden doing its thing. Then the second movie was like, okay, we're gonna get a Sonic story, and then also James Marsden and his wife are gonna be at a wedding, but they're separate. And there's gonna be the Sonic story. That movie's great. The wedding stuff I could do without. And then this movie was very much like, this is a Sonic film. We're literally sidelining them for most of it. They show up for, I don't know, 3 or 4 scenes. Not very much. James Marsden, I thought he was dead. He wasn't. He comes out of the tent.
Was dead.
He comes out of the tent. Here's a great. At the very end, they're all having a party. They won. They did it. James Marsden walks out of a tent in a sling, and they all grab him like he just arrived from the hospital. And it's like, you were all there. Like he was there before. He must have just gone into the tent for a couple minutes or for a nap.
He's very loving.
They all embrace him like he's
so
just
excited.
like come back from the dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
they
a scary
come back
moment.
Yeah, I guess.
I think I really I also had a take, which is like, I think they really needed to raise the stakes this movie, and I think they did in putting James Marsden's character in complete peril. And I'm like, but the inner part of me was like, I think he should have died, because that would have been way more impactful. But I knew they weren't going to do it because kids movie. But hey, like, I had to watch.
They killed the
Mufasa
kid.
Die, so
They killed the little girl. I was wondering if they would. They did.
true.
That's one point of the movie. The Maria and Shadow stuff, I have to say, I thought it was handled pretty well. And I like how they kind of like had little tidbits of it going through the movie, and that's like, we know what's going to happen. Like, the kid's going to die. But obviously, we're speculating, are they actually going to commit to it? But I thought that relationship was really well handled, and it was funny seeing the visual of like Maria, who's like, you know, a kid but way taller than Shadow, and he's just like hobbling along as they're running out of this thing. But I thought that was really good, well done. I thought that was.
They didn't
good.
shoot her in the head though. They like it was a
happens in the
collateral
game?
damage death.
Really? Is that what happens to her?
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
She's also like younger in the games, and I think there was definitely an active conversation that happened where it was like, how old do we have to cast this girl for it to be okay that we're going to kill the kid? Because I don't think you can kill 7-year-old Maria in the Sonic movie, but 12-year-old Maria maybe.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
I agree with you, Tom. I think that was my favorite part of the movie, was that relationship. It was so lovely, and it was such a great way to introduce Shadow as a character, because he is supposed to be the bad guy, and he's super edgy and cool, and like, there was nothing they were going to do that was going to make me not like him. Like, they could not make me dislike him as hard as they tried. So I really love that he had this grounding storyline, and they handled it really well in the parallels with Sonic and Tom, and like how that sort of made Shadow change his tune. I love the line, like, they have an all-timer line in this movie, which is like, but I've forgotten it, like, a star burns even, the starlight burns even when it's gone, or something like that. And it was really nice, and I thought that was a really nice message to have for kids. And I think that was the high point of the movie for me, was that relationship between them. It was just very genuine, made Shadow so likable, even though he's so like gruff and has no emotions, and I really loved it.
I wrote in my notes that they turned Sonic 3 into The Last of Us Part 2, where it's like a commentary on revenge, and like, you shouldn't get caught up in this revenge. And maybe that's why I liked it so much. I was like, wow, they really dug deep on this.
Yeah, it is ultimately, I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but it is ultimately like, it's a kid's movie, so it is all those themes very surface level, just very much like Sonic is going to have a question of like faith and potentially kill Shadow on the moon, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, you're like me, and there's just no like, there's nothing further explored about that. It's just like, you're like me, we're friends now. And I think like, you cannot explore the complex morality of the cycle of violence in a Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie. And I thought they handled, like, for a kids film, I thought they did handle that stuff pretty good. All the Shadow and Sonic interactions, that introduction fight we get is just like, it's so cool. He does the Akira slide up a building. I knew the Akira slide was coming. I didn't realize it was up the side of a skyscraper. Just the action in general in this movie, I think is awesome. And I think I want to jump to it because I've teased around it a few times. The final like action sequence between Shadow and Sonic it's the coolest Dragon Ball Z movie fight we're ever going to get, like, in live action. They're literally punching each other across the world, and I thought it worked. Like, it was intense, it was awesome. And then when they team up, and as a Sonic fan, I'm sitting there and the guitars come in and Live and Learn from Sonic Adventure 2 starts playing, like, they played it over and over again, like 6 different times during that fight, and every single time I got excited. It was just like, it was so cool. All that leading into the post credits where like Metal Sonic is there and Amy Rose is there and the kids around me are going, "It's Amy," and I'm like, "We did it! Like, this is awesome." The ending, this movie just ends on such a high note, and it starts with that Shadow and Sonic fight, and they end up on the moon, they end up in space. It rules, it rocks. It's like, as a Sonic fan, this is like everything I wanted.
Yeah, when they played Live and Learn, I was instantly like 10 years old again. Like I just it was like it energized me so much, and I think it was like that moment that made me realize like why I think I like this movie more than the others. It to me at least, it feels like this is the first of these that they really tried to mine, the Sonic franchise, and they really wanted to pay respect. And it feels like a respectful look at the Sonic franchise. You still have your belly rubbing Robotniks and the human stuff or whatever, but like
Wade Whipple
that aside
for 45 seconds.
yeah, but 1 second,
Chaos
dude.
Emerald.
People like cheered when like he showed up in my theater. It was crazy. But
Just on that note, Tom, I haven't been in a louder theater since No Way Home, and like
People love it, yeah.
might have been louder. People were standing up. People were screaming throughout the film. Anytime like anything crazy happened, it was pretty crazy, and it was a theater full of young kids. I'm like, what is? I guess to them, Sonic is a movie franchise. Like that, they have I guess they have the Sonic Prime or Boom cartoons at home too, but like the Sonic movies are how they know this character. And to hear that like at the end when these kids behind me are like, "That's Amy, that's Metal Sonic," like I was genuinely shocked that these 6 and 7-year-olds knew who these characters were, when I was sitting there going, are they gonna like have any idea what this hammer means? Because it means something.
it does. It really does. And yeah, like I think it was really cool when those moments showed up. And even like stuff like the Chow Garden shows up at one point. Obviously they're not actual chows, but like it's a cool reference. And then like even they played like the level complete theme at one point.
We get the Green Hill Zone
so
theme
cool.
when they cut to Maddie and Tom when they've taken up all their hobbies. It's like this really nice like jazzy version of Green Hill Zone, which is the first level in the first Sonic game, and like people popped for that. I'm like, this is wild. Like, how do you guys know this?
That's the thing. I'm like, and I just hope that if with Sonic 4 they keep going there, because there is such good music as well. Like go off Live and Learn again. I hope they do. I had it in my mind, but there's other like rock songs that they have. City Escape would be sick. Like let's just do it. Like let's do all the Sonic references. Let's do it.
Yeah. It's cool. There's stuff in here. I think I saw a tweet going around when the movie came out that like Sonic 1 was like the movie we got, Sonic 2 is the movie we needed, and Sonic 3 is the movie we wanted. And so it's like Sonic 2, they incorporate some of the game stuff in there, like there's bits of it, and this is like, okay, we are straight up like, this is for the most part an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. Like we're gonna do it, and we're gonna have the music, and we're gonna play Live and Learn 300 times throughout the movie. It's played right at the beginning, like Maria's playing a guitar and you can hear it like riff for the first time. and it works. They're gonna fight the robots from the game. I forget his name, but those are those robots at the very end. Robotnik's gonna try and cut the moon open. I think that for like, if you're going to go a direction with this franchise, that's what I want, and that's what I think we're gonna get with Sonic 4. I think Sonic 4, we are leaving Earth behind, is my theory. I think that it'll be way more Sonic and Friends focused.
And I think that's what it needs. That's my whole thing about the Robotnik stuff is like, he's fine, but we have had 3 movies of him. Let's try something different. Let's go off-world. Let's leave the humans behind. And I think that's kind of what they were hinting at with this post-credits is like, here we have Metal Sonic, who I believe is still attached to Robotnik somehow, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
He is a creation of Robotnik.
Right. So whether he comes back in that way again could happen, but I think that will probably be the overarching like main nemesis in Sonic 4, and then we also have a cool new ally in Amy Rose, which is awesome. Love it for the girls. However, I do think I mean, and they teased this as well, I think Shadow needs to come back. I think they've introduced him, they can't waste him now, so I really hope that he still is part of Team Sonic as well when Sonic 4 comes around.
Lauren, do you know like Metal Sonic and Amy, like they were introduced at the same time, like they were introduced in the same game, and like what you're asking for is like the plot of that game. Like it is very much, we are dancing through time essentially, and like going to all these like crazy places to like capture. They're like the Chaos Emeralds, but they're called Time Stones, but it's just a stand-in for the Chaos Emeralds.
That sounds awesome. I
It
hope
sounds
that's what we
great.
get.
Mhm.
Yeah. that'd be
Filming
cool.
in Vancouver supposedly.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I'll be on set. Maybe I'll be in the next Sonic movie.
Are you Amy Rose? We didn't hear a voice. Noted voice actor Lauren Rouse.
Hell yeah.
One other thing I want to point out, Kristen Ritter is in this movie as
Oh, yeah.
I can't even tell you because she wasn't in it long enough to remember. Wasted character. I was so excited. I love Kristen Ritter, and I was sort of hoping that she would be like, if they're going to make Robotnik more of an ally, that she would be kind of more of a villain, but she was just kind of there. And I thought that was a real shame. So justice for her character, maybe in the next movie.
I think that she'd be a pretty good Rouge the Bat if we're gonna do that. That's another villain we could introduce.
Like, will she transform into, or was she just like voice?
I don't know.
There'll be no
Because I
correlation.
I don't really
when
want to
she
think
was-
about that, to be
when
honest.
she was cast, the theory was like, oh, she's in this
Yeah.
movie, she's gonna be Rouge, or she's gonna be Amy. I don't know if she'd be a good Amy. She'd be a very good Rouge the Bat. I'm like, for weeks I've been percolating who could be Amy, who's gonna like, this is the hottest casting in all of Hollywood right now. They seem to have like no limits when it comes to these castings, right? It's Keanu, Idris, like those are big names to bring into this franchise. I think it helps that like Ben Schwartz, his like paychecks have been revealed for these movies, and he's not making like crazy leading a mega multi-million, I guess billion-dollar franchise now money.
He
I
does
think
it for
that
the
probably
love.
helps. Yeah.
So who voices Amy in the games? Does she have a voice actor?
She does have a voice actor. I'm forgetting her name. I always remember Colleen's name because she's been Tails.
Because Colleen did
forever.
come back, so I do wonder if
Yeah.
that voice actor could come back, or if they would want a bigger name to try to draw in.
It's been a
Sorry.
couple different people over the years. for Amy.
Get Emma Stone as Amy Rose.
Oh, that's good. I've seen Alison
Ooh.
Brie get thrown around as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
That's cool. Okay, I'm getting the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really bubbly and like really upbeat, but also
Amy Poehler?
she's a, oh my gosh.
That'd
The
be
Amy
cool.
connection's already there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Golden Globe winner Demi Moore. There we go. Coming off of
All the substance.
What's her
What
next
off
project?
the
Sonic 4.
Okay.
I love
Well, we'll see how we rate this on our 2024 video game adaptation ranking. Now that we're done Sonic, we will rank the 2024 video game adaptations. We had 7 on the list. There were 10 total, but we did not watch all of them. We didn't watch Halo Season 2. We didn't watch Ark, the animated series, and we did not watch Yakuza. I think those, just judging from what I know, those would be fairly low on the list anyways. We'll be doing a collective Controller Club list, so there will be some compromises here made today. We may have to fight for our babies. We may have to sacrifice a few as well. But the 7 projects are as follows. We have Fallout, Season 1, I guess. Knuckles, Season 1, I guess. Maybe we'll get a Season 2 one day. Borderlands, Arcane Season 2. Tom, don't wince at the idea of a Knuckles Season 2. You know you want it. Introduce Chaotix, that weird crocodile guy. Come on. Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and Secret Level. We reviewed every one of these on the podcast this year. I think Borderlands might be the closest thing to a not proper review we did, but that is a part of our London Stories episode. You can go back and listen to that. Let's start ranking these guys. We'll start at number 7. Of these 7 projects, I think there is one to me that should be at the bottom, but I'm interested to see what the two of you think.
I have 2 competing for the
You have 2
lowest spot.
competing? So I guess I won't dance around it. I think Borderlands is abysmal and one of the worst things I've ever watched. I found no enjoyment in it. And so I would like to put it at number 7 if that is okay with the group.
For me, it's Borderlands as well. I
Okay.
fucking hated it. It was so boring. And like, there are some. Well, there's at least one other stinker on this list, but at least I wasn't bored out of my mind when I was watching that. So yeah, for me, it has to be on the bottom. Like, Borderlands is just atrocious.
Lauren,
I
do
quite
you want
enjoyed the
to?
nap that I had.
Yeah,
during
I
the
was
movie.
going to say. I was going to
Yeah,
ask if
that's
you wanted to
the-
comment on the sleep you had in the middle of the podcast. I don't know if you're in the middle of the watching that movie. I don't know if it helps that like me and Gabby, who we put through that pain and we're trying to make up to her for the rest of the trip we were in London for. But I don't know if it helped that we were like severely jet lagged. But that movie was not great, and I think it was fairly short, but it felt like it went on forever.
It was like a
Yeah.
fever dream.
hmm
Yeah, I think I disassociated like a lot during that movie. So
We'll have to find out if Helldivers 2 is going to be better than the Borderlands movie. That's Will they call it Helldivers 2? No, it'll be the Helldivers
Probably
movie.
not.
Okay.
yeah,
Next we go to number 6. Tom, you said there's another stinker that you think deserves to be very low. What are you
Yeah.
referring to? It can't possibly be our
Hmm.
favorite bowling adventure of 2024.
Yeah, I was actually thinking Arcane Season 2 could come. No, it's Knuckles. Knuckles. Oh, it's so
Okay, before
bad,
you go any
man.
further, are we sure about this?
Yes.
Yes.
Not secret
Of
level?
course. Oh, man. Like, I had way more enjoyment out of Secret Level. At least some
Way
of it.
more enjoyment. That's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Knuckles is so... It's just so dumb. Like, what were we doing here? We're hanging out with this cop who's... I don't know, he's got
There were funny
family
moments.
issues.
The
No, there
humor
were
in
not.
Knuckles is better than the humor in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say. No. I'm not standing for that.
Knuckles
What?
would have been better if it was actually about Knuckles. Let's put it that way.
That's the thing. We
Kid
had an
Cudi was
episode.
there?
We had an episode of Knuckles' origin story, and he wasn't even in it. It was Adam Pally in a Knuckles hood onesie, and he was reenacting his origin story. Like, what were we doing here?
They went to Vegas. I don't know. I thought it was okay, I sound like I'm like number one Knuckles fan of the world. Knuckles is not good. Like it isn't. There are maybe like a few minutes of Secret Level that I really enjoyed. Like it was just such a mixed bag. I wanted it to be so much better. Knuckles for me, like, did I waste my time watching it? Probably, but like I got laughs out of it. Like there was fun. Like that kitchen scene when he goes to visit his mom and the battle breaks out in the kitchen, and I don't know.
Unfortunately, I think you're outvoted here. It's
Okay,
going to
Yeah,
well-
I'm not with that. Okay.
I want it on the record. Okay, I stood up. I stood up for my echidna friend. Speaking of Sonic again, did we know that I've been a Sonic fan for the rest of my life. We've known that, or for my whole life. Tails' last name is Miles per hour. Like Miles per hour. It's a pun on miles per hour. I had no idea.
You didn't know that? Wait.
I've seen that name hundreds of
Oh my
times. I had no clue.
Oh wow.
Okay. We go to
Wow.
number 5. Is this where Secret Level goes?
I think Secret Level can go here.
Yeah.
In
I
my
think
opinion.
yeah.
You just really had to get it above Knuckles. You couldn't budge at all.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I
Really
mean, the
holding on to
Pac-Man
that, aren't
episode
ya?
was. I think the Pac-Man episode is like genuinely like really good.
The Pac-Man episode
I think my
does
problem.
rock.
I think my problem with Knuckles is that like any enjoyment out of it was like pure irony, like of how just absurd the thing I was watching. But I think with Secret Level, there are episodes that are middling. There are episodes that are downright bad. But I think the good aspects of it outweigh it in my mind in comparison to Knuckles. Like that Batman episode. So
Now, I don't know about how you guys feel, but I feel like this top 4 should just fall into place. I think number 4 is Tomb
I
Raider.
think-
Some healthy debate would be nice for the listeners.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at the things we have.
Yeah,
right?
we'll go one
And-
at a time.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk
Yeah, so I'm
Just on
saying number
Secret
4.
Level.
Okay.
I'm just saying I'm with Tom. And I liked that. Why I liked Secret Level more than Knuckles is just that you never knew what you were going to get, and that it was like multiple interesting gaming worlds versus Earth.
Yeah. Once you're in Knuckles, you're like, oh, this is what it is? It's gonna be 6 episodes of this?
Like,
oh dear.
I haven't been to Pac-Man Shadowland, but I have been to the bowling alley.
there's definitely some good in Secret Level. Like, I'm giving it a hard time. The Unreal Tournament episode we talked about at the time
that was a good one.
is genuinely awesome. The Pac-Man episode is so cool, but it is a mixed bag. I'm excited for more of Secret Level. I don't know if I'm excited for more Knuckles. I'm excited for more of Idris Elba's Knuckles. I don't know if I'm excited for more Knuckles the TV show.
Yeah. Unless they completely blow it up and like do something different with it. Like,
If it's like
True
Shadow and
Detective.
Knuckles, that would be cool.
yeah, like, that would be fun.
Okay, number 4. I think it's Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Lauren's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Let's talk about. We did a full episode about Tomb Raider here. What it's good, right? Like the Tomb Raider anime is good. I don't know if it's anything better than that, but it's good, and there are some genuine moments in there. It's like this is awesome. This is bordering on fantastic. I think Haley Atwell is a inspired choice for Lara Croft. Like, she does well. We get like some fantastic gaming nods and things like that. But it just like, I don't know, it never got any better than just being okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the same league as some of these anime adaptations, like the Cyberpunk Edge Runners and Castlevanias of the world. But I think like I said when we reviewed it, like for a Lara Croft story, it was very good. And I'm with you about Haley Atwell, and I enjoyed my time because, to be honest, a lot of the anime video game adaptations I haven't seen, like they just don't draw me in, whereas the character of Lara Croft is enough to make me watch it. So I liked it. It was solid. I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, I thought it was decent. Like, it does have its moments. I think, like, I think back to like that episode in France. Like, I thought that was a really fun one, and that kind of globe-trotting nature, I just remember being a really fun aspect of it. But yeah, I think maybe it isn't as strong as some of these other ones, but it definitely has its moments. I mean, Lara Croft fights a freaking dinosaur at the end. Like, I think that enough. I think is enough to put it in this spot, which is pretty sick. So, I'm excited because this. I think we're getting a season 2 for this, right?
Yeah, they announced a season 2.
So I'll watch season 2. So yeah.
Now we have the top 3.
About it.
Yeah.
At number 3, it's Sonic. Right? Lauren got scared. It's Fallout, right? No, it's Sonic 3. I think that we've talked enough about Sonic 3 here today, but it is ultimately like a 3.5-star movie.
Yeah,
coming in third is quite good
it.
for a Sonic movie, I think.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I think it says more about its competition than anything else.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, in a different year, like a Sonic movie, there'd be more debate, like, because I would have dragged it down. So it's surprising that it made it this high. So.
Particularly in a year where Knuckles did come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I think it's harder. We have 1 and 2. What are we thinking for number 2? Is anyone feeling strongly?
So we're picking between Fallout and Arcane Season 2. And this was actually a massive debate going into the Game Awards because those were pretty much the 2 frontrunners. At the end there, Fallout did come in with the win. And I can see the arguments for both sides. I love both shows. They were both 2 of my favorite things that came out of last year. And I think perhaps the debate is that maybe Fallout was the better game adaptation, that it captured more of like the game, and that's perhaps why it was voted over Arcane at the Game Awards. But I think, like, given that what Arcane was from season 1 and what they've created, like, it was still exceptional and the bar is way out there. But perhaps it didn't adapt, the game elements that would make it a better game adaptation. So it depends how we want to judge.
I think Arcane is number 1, and I'll just say back tattoo. Tom Drew, what do you think?
Fair enough. Yeah, I think for me, like, I was the most kind of down on Fallout. Even though I did like it, I think not all the storylines came together for me necessarily. And you could make that argument for Arcane Season 2 as well for some people. But I just think I thought it was a really good basis for Season 1. I'm really excited to see what they do with Season 2, and I think it'll be even better. But yeah, for me, I think Arcane, in my mind, would be number 1, like, just because like I said, like people criticize like too many storylines, the pacing, whatever. But I think just as like a piece of art, like a show, I just loved it. And like the animation, the storytelling, I thought was really well done. I honestly just can't stop thinking about it. So that's where I'm standing.
Yeah, I think Fall like these both of these shows, if you haven't watched them, go watch them. Like you can't go wrong with either one of these. I think Fallout was maybe a bigger surprise for me because Arcane season 1 was so good. Fallout came out of nowhere and captured the tone of the game so well, introduced us to this like awesome world that we'd seen on screen in Fallout 3 and New Vegas and all of that, and and took these like characters we'd never seen before and made us fall in love with them. Like El Purnell's fantastic in it. I think that they set up a great foundation for where we go next, and it's amazing. I can't believe that it is as good as it was. I just think Arcane season 2, as messy as some of the stuff was, it did feel like, the more I think about it, did feel like Avengers Endgame. I think a little bit that way, is like a lot of people say like Infinity War is the better movie, but I would put Endgame maybe higher than Infinity War because the highs are just so like, they're so high. And I think that I feel the same way about Arcane season 2. Like we do ultimately get every storyline in Arcane season 2, we do get to a pretty satisfying conclusion with. It's just the road to get there is a little messy. We go through things quite fast. I still think it's like a near perfect season of television. Like it is. We talked about it for a whole month, about how great it is, and I couldn't stop singing its praises that whole time. The performances in that show are just incredible. I joke about the back tattoo, but like that to me, there's so many moments, including that scene, that are just like, it will be imprinted on my mind forever as like some of the best like TV, like fiction in general, like things that I've ever been witness to. Like it's just like there's so many highs in Arcane season 2, and that's why for me I think it's like leaps and bounds above Fallout.
I really liked Fallout because it allowed me to experience the world of the game without playing the game. Because I've said a few times that I've tried, it just doesn't gel with me, at least in the current iterations that the games are at. And maybe a Fallout 5 will be different. I don't know. But okay, it's client's just, what if I disagreed with you? He's just written the order in the document. Anyway, I do agree with you though, so it's okay. Because yeah, Arcane is, as we've talked about it for like 8 to 10 hours on the podcast, is something special. And I think there's a world in where like maybe Fallout Season 2 is the best adaptation of next year or something like that. But for last year, it's got to be Arcane. There was just nothing that came close, regardless of how many criticisms it got.
Mm-hmm. So our list as it stands is number 7, Borderlands, number 6, Knuckles, 5, Secret Level, 4, Tomb Raider, Legend of Lara Croft, 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, 2, Fallout, and number 1, Arcane Season 2. Do we feel good about that?
Yeah, I feel pretty good.
I think Knuckles could be like one spot higher, but that's
we'll have
okay.
an asterisk next to Knuckles.
Exactly. It's like Thunderbolts, Knuckles, asterisks. So what have we been playing? We'll end the show here. We will talk about what we've been playing over the last week or so. Anything exciting? Tom, you've been away, so.
I've mostly, like I said at the top of the show, I've been sorting out Lego this past week. But I have played a little bit of games this week. I think I mentioned it, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago. I was trying to finally beat Pokemon Brilliant Diamond on the Switch, because I was like right at the end, but just I couldn't get over the final hurdle. So I finally beat the Elite Four and beat the champion. I gotta say, Pokemon games I usually find pretty easy, but for whatever reason, it was pretty tough. The Elite Four and champion of this one, Cynthia, and her Elite Four are like really, they have good team synergy, especially against like the Pokemon that I picked, that I was constantly getting countered, and I was like really put up against the wall at multiple points. So I was pretty impressed by the difficulty in that game specifically. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that I'm through that now, and hopefully I'll be able to sink my teeth into Okami soon. But yeah, that's what we've been playing.
Lauren, have you been getting up to anything?
Still playing Sly 2, my comfort game. I'm getting through about a chapter a night, which is really nice because it's kind of like a reward for me at the end of just getting through the day, which I love. It's beautiful. I'm so glad that I get to play it again. It's just a warm hug.
Yeah, it's nice to dip back into those comfort games. I haven't actually been playing a lot, just our new game plus game, Okami, because this week was Awesome Games Done Quick. Again, they just finished last night. If you don't know, it's a week-long marathon of speedrunning. They all get together in Pittsburgh and raise money. This time was for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. They raised almost $2.6 million in a week, breaking the record, going bigger and higher than they did last year. And it's such an incredible event. I saw a lot of posts on Blue Sky last night from people in the industry talking about how like doing game stuff every day, doing just like anything right now in like pop culture or just existing on the internet can be such a just like downer. Like there's people constantly yelling about this, the toxic just grossness of the video game community, and like everything can like really really weigh on you. It's stuff like the Games Done Quick crew that like prove to me that like there are good people out there, and it's just they're so incredibly positive. Hearing hundreds of people in a room screaming trans rights whenever that gets brought up in donations, which it does constantly, and just like this outpouring of love and like support for everyone, and where it's this very very inclusive community that anyone can join. I've never sped run a game, but I'm there watching and have watched for over a decade now. And it's just like, it's so cool. There were so many good runs I'd suggest to go back and watch. Sadly, Peanut Butter the Shiba Inu was not there. He did not make another appearance, but there were some great ones. They've been doing these really, really creative, I would say like music infused speed runs lately. Like there was a guy who beat New Super Mario Bros. Wii with a Wii remote strapped to his head, because in that game, if you tilt forward, you can run forward. And then he was pressing buttons with his feet and playing the music of the game on piano as he was playing.
Oh my god.
It was incredible. There was somebody who did a no-hit boss run of a bunch of Elden Ring bosses on a electronic saxophone that he had programmed to control, and he had to blow in it for it to do anything. They did a Crazy Taxi run yesterday, and if you don't know Crazy Taxi, all the music of that first game was done by like great ska bands of like the late 90s. Offspring are on that soundtrack. They did it with a live ska cover band behind them playing the songs. Just like so cool. And then it ended last night. The very last run, as it is often, was Super Metroid, and it was a randomizer race. So they've never seen this map before. They've got to complete it. And with those randomizer races, it can be very hard to tell who's in first, because they've never seen this map before. They all go off in completely different directions. But after an hour and 20 minutes, it came down to these two of the contestants were way ahead of the other two. And they were both in the final boss battle at the same time. And after the final boss battle of that game, you have an escape. You've got like 3 minutes to get out. And they finished within 0.7 seconds of each other. It was so close. And it was this race where it was back and forth. Like one would enter a room and get caught up on something, and the other one would like get a slight advantage, and then he'd get caught up on something. And it was just this great back and forth right at the very end. And they raised, like $2.56 million, which is crazy. It's so much money. But go back, they're all almost, I think all of them are on YouTube, all the runs from this week. If you look through the schedule, they did an Astrobot run, which was really fun. There's lots of great stuff. Spyro, saw that one. But I just had it up all week. I was watching as much as I could.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch some of the VODs because those sound cool. That Crazy Taxi one sounds insane. Like,
It's
I got to
crazy.
see what that looks like.
And they stop with the levels. Like when he finishes a level of where the song would cut, they just like mid-song just like drop out and then they come back.
That's great.
I want to know what makes someone sit there and go, I could play this game, or I could play it on the saxophone.
Yeah.
What a very,
Especially
like,
it was an Elden Ring. It's hard. It's a hard game.
That's crazy.
very cool.
Yeah, so you can go and find those on YouTube. You can also find us on YouTube. You can watch the show. You can subscribe. We have full episodes of the show over on youtube.com/@controller_club. We've got, as I said, latest episodes, our best segments, as well as like these highly edited, really cool parts of the show from past episodes that Tom is putting together. We got shorts going up as well. Subscribe, like, comment, do all that. If you're listening to us, you can see our beautiful faces over there as well. You can see that wonderful toque that Lauren is wearing. You can also follow the show. We are at Controller Club Pod on Instagram and Blue Sky. We are now on Blue Sky. Come and find us. We almost have more followers on Blue Sky than we do on Twitter already. The Blue Sky community is embracing Controller Club. We are loving it. You can still follow the podcast as well over on Twitter at controller_club and at controller.club on TikTok. That is where we will be sharing updates for our New Game Plus video game book club game of the month, with which we are playing right now. It is Okami. We're playing it for January, February, and then at the end of February, we'll come back and we'll do a deep dive on that game. Rate, review us wherever you're listening as well. Leave us a comment on Spotify. Do the whole shebang. Send us any emails as well. controllerclubpod@gmail.com. Tom Drew, people want to get directly in touch with you. If they want to get right to the source, where could they do so?
Yeah, you can find me at Tom Drew Art on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, basically wherever. Klein mentioned some videos on the YouTube. There is one video going up on YouTube this week, if you're listening to it when it's just come out, about Marvel Rivals. We did a little discussion about pitching our dream characters that we sort of want to see in Marvel Rivals. This was a while back now, but since the game's topical, why not bring it out of the vault? So if you like Marvel Rivals, check out that video when it comes out this week. But yeah, that's about it.
Cracked 500,000 concurrent players this week. Marvel Rivals did. That's crazy on Steam. That's wild. Lauren Rouse, where can people keep up with you and your Marvel Rivals takes, I guess?
You can follow me at lrouse19 on Twitter and Blue Sky mostly, and I think that's my handle on TikTok as well, but I can't remember. If you want to read any more about any of the video game adaptations, particularly the news that we covered today, I've covered pretty much all of it on either Game Rant or at The Direct, so go check it out over there.
Awesome. You can keep up with me everywhere as well. I'm at The Kleinfeld, TheKleinFelt, Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, and as Lauren said, writing every day over at thedirect.com, doing a lot of Switch 2 coverage. So if you want Switch 2 leaks, information, rumors, all that sort of stuff, we've got a ton of it over at The Direct right now. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Controller Club. Thank you so much for listening. Now, let's get gaming.